Hi crafters, this is Raquel from Paints and Glitter. I'm a crafter for Tonic Studios and I'm here today with the Nutcracker Soldier and Sugar Plum Fairy Gift Box die collection. I'm going to share with you how to assemble the Nutcracker Soldier, and then separately on my channel I will have a tutorial for the Sugar Plum Fairy. The die set, however, does have all of the pieces that you need to create both of the gift boxes. There's a total of 129 pieces, so I'm going to flip this over so you see that this magnet will hold all of them, and this way you get to see that they're all there. So all of these are for the Sugar Plum Fairy, and then all of these are for the Nutcracker Soldier. However, you can also create a Christmas tree with this collection. So there are a lot of little bits and pieces that are decorative that are for you to create any type of embellishments that you like for the Christmas season. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. And what I'm going to do is start assembling it with you, and I'll share with you which pieces I'm using so that it doesn't get confusing, and then that way you'll get to see when you open yours. Not only do you have full instructions available with this die set, but it also will share with you which pieces are what. So that way there's no confusion whatsoever, okay? But I'm also going to be using these papers here. So let me share with you. I'm using Spearmint Green, and this is classic card, Craft Perfect card, and this is also 80 pound in weight. So that's for the foundational pieces. And this does create a gift box, but this will be sturdy enough for that. I'm going to be coloring that with the Nuvo Embellishment Mousse in the color Aquamarine, and you'll see in a moment what that looks like. Or some of the little pieces to embellish my Nutcracker, as you can see poking over here in the corner. I'll be using Gold Dust Glitter card. That's 92 pound in weight, and all of these are available at Tonic Studios. I'm also going to be using the Harmony Paper Precious Metals, and these are available in Tonic Studios US, but I'm not sure if the UK store has it. I love the glimmer in these papers, so I'll be using this one here, and then also the one you see immediately here that has that beautiful peachy and ivory color. And I'm also going to be using my scissors, a paper creaser, and a nice set of tweezers. I really highly recommend that you grab those before you start crafting. And of course your Nuvo Deluxe adhesive, because you want this to have a really beautiful finish. As an option, you can also grab a set of small magnets from Tonic Studios to close this box. So I just have some items here to the side. But let's start here. For the main body, you're going to want to cut two pieces that look like this. Now to assemble this, you can go ahead and decide which is going to be the front and the back. And for the back side, you can go ahead and cut this portion here because you won't need it. And that is this portion that will fold, okay? So just cut along that line. Now I've already gone ahead and creased everything. So what you want to do is fold your papers. These are all mountain folds here, okay? And then you're noticing this shape here. Here, what you want to do is very gently, of course, take your paper and along that score line, go ahead and take your paper creaser and start folding that just really gently there to get that used to folding, and crease it. And don't worry too much. You can always fold it back, okay? And then these little tabs fold away from you, and this will fold back, okay? Now, as you can tell, mine's a little shiny. What I've done is I used the Aquamarine Nuvo Embellishment Mousse to color my papers, and I just did that with a large brush. Super easy. Apply adhesive on this tab here, right next to that little V shape. And we're going to start there by laying that right behind this piece for the top portion of our box. And make sure you grab your paper creaser. A lot of little things like to travel here. And then apply pressure there. If you've used any embellishment mousse, just allow the paper to dry before you start crafting with it, so that way there's no humidity still on it. So you can flip that over, and you can see the difference in the color now. Burnish that. Okay. You're then going to start folding this back. Okay, and immediately you get to see that on the opposite side, which hopefully you've already burnished and everything, this is going to match up. Okay. So make sure you hold that and follow the angle of the paper. And this is going to fold in like this, all right? Once you have those side pieces folded and burnished, this should collapse nicely, so you get to see how this is going to be able to close, okay? But now let's go ahead and adhere the bottom. So what I'm going to do is apply adhesive on the portion that should be the back. And then overlap this here, so that way it has a really clean finish, and the little tabs on the side are going to help you with your placement. Once that's nicely adhered, we can start here with the bottom pieces, these tabs here, and apply adhesive there, and then on this side tab as well. This is going to close this, and you'll notice it's at an angle. So just hold on to that until it dries. Just make sure you get those angles really nice there. It's going to make a difference. And this is the type of project, as I've mentioned in other videos, that will take you longer to cut the papers than it will to assemble it. But once you get into a rhythm and you see which colors you want to use, it'll make it so much easier. Okay. Now let's go ahead and apply adhesive on the other side. We'll do the same exact thing. So adhesive on the 3 tabs. Now that you've assembled your little box, you can go ahead and add a magnet to the back to close it. So you can place a little drop of adhesive there, stack 2 magnets, and then place that right in the center. Just going to hold that for a moment there. Press the sides closed so that you get to measure out the fold line there. So once you know that this has reached the fold line, okay, that's how it's going to close, okay? So it's not going to be completely flat there. So I'm just going to drop a little bit of adhesive there and do that again, just matching that fold line there, and fold that over. Okay, and now I get my placement for that magnet. So I can separate these and then place that magnet right there. Okay, now while those are drying, I'm simply going to flip this over, and this is going to be the front of my little soldier. This is what's going to create the little arm on the soldier here, okay? So you can, if you would like to decorate this, and also add the little hand. There's a cuff. And then there's this portion here, and this is optional because there's more than one way to decorate this, but you can also add one of these little pieces. Now I've cut mine down so that it wouldn't compete with the cuff here, and that's up to you, of course, but this is where the tweezers come in, and I'm going to be applying adhesive to this portion here, and matching this up with that top portion of that arm. And it's going to look like the letter M because this is what the other arm will look like. Okay, once it's all decorated, you can fluff this up once it's all dry, of course. But I'm going to go right down the arm here, showing you how I'm decorating mine. Now there is a crease line here, and it's up to you if you want to fold this, because that's going to be determined also by how you're using the little arms, because you can give him the little typical drums, or you can do the little staff with a candy cane. That's what I'll be doing today. Goes here. All you need is a couple of little drops of adhesive there. Not a whole lot, so you can remove any excess. And I'm going to hold on to that and then hold on to the little cuff there until I have a position that looks good. So you can see his little hand there. So I would say it should be about 1/2 inch of the hand showing there. The rest is going to supersede the edge here, okay? So you have that all the way to the edge. Okay, it's already looking like a soldier. And this other side will match up to the opposite edge. So you see the assembly is super easy. You will spend more time cutting than assembly. Okay, now here you have some options. There are several available. Your die set is going to come with everything labeled, so don't worry about that, but you can use a little sash if you want to. You can do the little belt. That's what I'll be using today. And then I'm also going to be using, sorry, it goes like this. I'm also going to be using the buckle. Okay, look at how gorgeous that is already. All right, but before I place that, I'm actually going to be using another portion. It's a little rectangle that can go right here in the center. So you cut that out of the colors that you like. I'm going to be using this pink paper. This is just the ballet pink from Tonic Studios, Craft Perfect. And that's going to go right there. I took the die that will cut what's going to be the hair on the little soldier. I've cut that out, and I've also cut out 2 of the embellishments. As you can tell, I adhered them on the sides here, so let me show you the comparison, okay? I adhered them here on the sides, and I cut away the excess. So what you see there as the little curls in the hair, I cut that away, and this is what I obtained there. I am going to use that as the front here. And of course, you don't have to do this. This was just the way that I decided to decorate mine. I'm putting this right up here to the top. I'm also going to be using some little golden buttons. These are available in your set. They're absolutely adorable. So place this here. The perfect size to fit here. And I'm tilting mine so that way I can actually reach. Okay. Just like that. I'm also going to add the belt buckle here. And I'm just going to make sure that it fits right in the middle. Okay, just like that. Now, this belt can continue along the sides and the back. So that's what I'm going to do, and in fact I should have done that first because it does have little tabs, but I'll quickly be able to hide them behind that sash there in the, or belt. So I'm just going to lift this. So you see the order in which I'm doing this. You decide for yourself if you want to do the belt first or the arms first. But this is going to wrap right around. And it's going to fit perfectly on the edge here. There's even that score line to guide you. Reinforce that with any adhesive that you may need to add. If you need to. And again, I'm going to add a little bit more adhesive here. Also, the second portion of that little belt can go right on top. Just place my hand inside so that I can hold this down. Make sure it creates contact on both ends there. So that completes the little belt, and this should now be dry so that I can close this very gently. Okay, this is what the side's going to look like. The front, if you'd like to, you can also place this portion here for the bottom of the jacket. And this is going to fit right along the bottom edge here, just like that. Okay, we can now set this aside to dry. While that's drying, we can work on the little hat. Now I've gone ahead and decorated mine already, as you can see here, and it does have this little portion here. Add adhesive to the side tab, join one side to the other, and I'm going to flip mine because I'm left-handed, but join these two sides together like so. Make sure you burnish your pieces. Fold that over, and in the same fashion, fold down the smaller tab, add adhesive to it, and fold over the larger one. This will give you a nice even look, because it's not the same size top to bottom, okay? But it's like a little bit of a matchbox. I like to place this inside, so that way I can hold that taut. And also one of the rectangular ones here, the longer ones, place that inside. Now along the bottom, I'm going to do the same thing, just adding a little bit of adhesive there. I fit those little tabs inside, and I'll close this off. You now have this little piece, and you can sit the little hat right on top, making sure that the stitch portion faces up. So you see that as the pretty side. It's going to go right on top now. Okay, and then we can set this little hat aside to dry as well. For the face, you'll be cutting this piece out twice, and what I've done is added just a tiny little bit of pink ink onto this paper, and I do believe this is the bubblegum pink from Tonic Studios, and I apologize that I sometimes forget the names, but you'll need this little rectangular piece with the two tabs on opposite sides, and what you're going to do is cut it out twice and then curl it with your paper creaser, just like that. You're going to take your two little face pieces and adhere them along the short tab that's here. And these are going to go right next to each other. Just burnish that. Using the little tabs here, you can fold it along one edge and just burnish that. Okay, do that to both. And use one of those little tabs. Apply adhesive and adhere it right to the center here, matching that edge to the bottom. So just go ahead and hold that. You can push away the little half moon tabs there so you can see it better. And just make sure that that joins right along that edge there. And then you're going to do that on the opposite side as well. So if you want to, you can adhere this first with the little tab on the opposite side. Furnish that nicely. Make sure it reaches that full line there. Okay, so now you can close this up. And you can use your tool if your hands are too big. Just use that as a little resting place for you to apply pressure on that paper so that it will dry nicely. Now you should have something that looks like this. So you have the one rectangle on one side, the other one on the other. They've both been curled. And you have all of these little half moon tabs facing the back and the front. Okay, so fold away the two rectangles that meet the bottom of the little face. Add adhesive to the little half moon tabs, both front and back. Just make sure they're folded in. Okay, and you're going to match up those curled rectangles to meet the center now. Once you've adhered both sides, as you see here, okay, you're going to go ahead and take the two remaining tabs here and adhere those onto the center portion. And they should match the score lines that are on that paper. So just overlap that and then fold it in. Okay. So that's going to be the curved edge. You can then close off the top portion as if it were a little box as well. So fold in the two smaller tabs. Fold down what will be essentially the back, and then adhere the front onto that. Okay. This, of course, is going to now be the little face, and that's why I had embellished mine with a tiny bit of ink there. Now the little hat is going to go right on top, and it's going to look so darling. So if you want to, you can do that first, or you can decorate this further, of course, with what will be the hair. So what I'm going to do is that I'm placing my little face right on top of this, and then I'm going to double it up with a second one so that it's pretty when you look at it from the front and also on the back. Okay, so that should match perfectly there. And I think I'm going to put the little hat on last. Just make sure you put an ample amount of adhesive there. And there's a second type of hair that you can choose from. So if you don't like this one, you do have a second option. Now for the front, you have several options on how you do the eyes, the nose, and the little beard. So what I've done is I've already layered what's going to be the eyes, and you have two different mustaches also to choose from. Let me just gather my little pieces here. So as you can see, I've already stacked these together. There's two little circles and then the half moon shape that's the white of the eyes. I've chosen this as the little beard. There's a second option. I've chosen this as the mustache. There's also a second option. I've chosen the little nose. There's also a second option. And let's see here. That is it as far as the face is concerned. So I am going to do the little cheeks first. And I'm just going to place these right about here. And I'm using that holographic paper that I had mentioned earlier. So I'm going to place that right in the center of the face. Just trying to be symmetrical as much as possible there. The little beard. It's going to go right there, right underneath the nose. Drops here of adhesive for the eyes. And I'm going to use a jewel picker to pick those up. And I'm going to use that as well. I'm adding the little mustache with a little bit of dimensional adhesive. I just added a little Nuvo drop right on top of that. And I'm going to place that right on top of the beard. Next, I'm going to apply adhesive to the top and join that with the little hat. Okay, once you're happy with the little face, it's so cute, you can of course add this to the top here. And what you want to make sure is that you add enough adhesive here on the rectangular portion, or the little square I should say, here. That's where you want to add your adhesive. You want to make sure that it's centered on your little soldier. Oh my gosh. Isn't he so cute already? I'm going to use hot glue because I don't want to take too much time. So I'm just going to add a little drop here. Oh, this hot glue, just a tiny drop. I'm going to guesstimate here. So I do have to hold this so that I can see it. And I'm going to place my little soldier's face here. Now that we have that top portion done, we can work on the rest of this little soldier to create the little legs. They're going to look like this. What you can do is take your pieces, so you're going to need 2 of these per leg. As you can see, you can add the little stripes. You're also going to need 2 small little hexagons. Okay, the first thing that you want to do is fold and burnish all of the lines, the fold lines I should say. And all of these are going to be mountain folds, so fold everything away from you. And the die is actually going to create a bit of a relief here. And that's going to be a little portion that's going to stand out a little bit there. The other die included will create the little stripes. So I'm just going to add a tiny little bit of adhesive to each one of these. You'll be cutting out that little stripe 12 times so that you have enough stripes for the little leg portions. So just time that when you're cutting all of your other embellishments so that you can cut several of them at a time. Just don't put those dies close to each other because if they slip. Once you've placed your 3 little stripes on the legs here, and you've got those nicely situated on each one of these little panels, go ahead and apply adhesive to the small tab and join 2 of these together. end to end to form a longer strip. Now take the opposite little tab, use that to join this piece end to end again. Should match perfectly there. Now you can open this, fold down the little tabs, apply adhesive to them, apply one hexagon to one end, and you're going to have to apply pressure here. Make sure that all of your little points match there, or your little corners. And your hexagon, and apply pressure. It's gonna look like a little drum set. Okay, while the little legs are drying completely, you can set those aside and start the assembly of the little boots. You're going to need this piece here and this one. Cut two of each. You're going to place them opposing each other, but before you begin, make sure that you fold and burnish all of the fold lines. And they're all going to be mountain folds. So it's got these little tabs along the side of this larger one, and a fold line there, fold line on what will be the bottom, and then the tab for the front. And all of these little half moon tabs you can just push away like that. The second one will be the same, the large tab for the top, this time a narrow one for the bottom, and a small one for the front, and the little half moon tabs. The next piece is this one here. It's a long rectangle, and you're going to curve it in your hand using the paper creaser, the pretty side facing you. Okay, it has one tab on one end that you can crease, and then it has two lines on the opposite end that you can also burnish. Okay. If you'd like to, you can decorate this boot with three little X's that are going to simulate shoelaces. And you can also use one of these decorative pieces. I'm going to place that first here on this narrower one. Just place it on here while it's still flat. You can, if you'd like to, also place the X's on here. What you want to do is make sure that you're placing them closer to the side that has the one tab. Sometimes it's easier to place it on the back of the hand if you're not allergic, and then dip the paper onto it. If you want to make sure that you only use a tiny little bit, that way you don't get any adhesive seeping out. Okay. To start making this, just apply adhesive along this narrow tab here. So just make sure that these half moon tabs are facing away from each other, and that way you'll know that that's the center tab there. Overlap your die cuts, and there is another one of these that will face the opposite way. So if you want to, of course, you can place it on the other side. I believe this might be the same, but there is a mirror image of that you can use. I'm going to burnish that nicely. Now what's important here is that you know that this is going to be the top of the boot. This will be the bottom. So if you'd like to, you can fold these narrower tabs for the bottom. Apply adhesive to those. And these can now close with that wider portion. Just like this. It's almost half of a box here. Once you have that in position, you can place it on your table and press that with your paper creaser. Get a nice contact there, nice adhesion. Okay, you'll have something that looks like this. You can now adhere this long strip to the bottom along the shorter tab. It's going to face the front of the boot. Just slip that right in there. Make sure that fold line meets the edge and adhere that nicely. Okay, you can now start closing this off. So fold the little tabs in. Add adhesive there. That's going to fold over, and that'll be the front of the boot there. So you can hold on to that if you need to. Okay, and what's important here is that you fold these little half-moon tabs in, then apply your adhesive, and you can start folding this in and following that curvature. What I'm going to do is I'm going to apply adhesive to all of them because I feel more comfortable that way, but you can do this gradually and then push that paper so that that curve meets the edge on both sides. Make sure the tabs are on the inside. I like to use the table also. And then make sure it meets right along the edge there. Apply adhesive to the shorter tabs here on the top. And then choose a side to fold down first. Make sure that stays nice and square. Then add adhesive to that one. And close this over. You can now join the little leg on here. I'm going to be using hot glue, just a little tiny drop of it. Placing that right in the center. And just make sure they match each other. I'm going to place them rather close to one another. So I think I'm going to leave about 1/4 of an inch distance in between them. I think that's plenty. You can place them closer if you want. And I'm going to apply just a little drop of adhesive there. Personal preference to use the hot glue, but you can definitely use Nuvo. And then I'm going to make sure he's nice and centered right along the top here. Once you're happy with the placement of the legs, okay, you might get something that looks like that. Alright, super happy with this. It's so cute. So I'm not going to apply too much pressure because I don't want this to collapse in on itself. To finish decorating my little nutcracker, I've gone ahead and cut out 2 pieces of white cardstock using this die here. It looks like a snowman. And then using this piece here, I did cut out the center portion of one of them. A third piece I cut out of that pink cardstock, and it's all holographic paper from Tonic Studios, and it's the pack of paper I showed in the beginning of this video. So then I stacked those and adhered them together, as you can tell. I also use the long rectangular die in the set that cuts out this long strip. I've cut it out 4 different times out of that craft card that looks like cardboard from Tonic Studios and stacked those together already. I used another piece out of that holographic paper, adhered it right on top. And there's also this little wreath that I thought was really cute. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to sandwich this together just for fun. And I'm going to use this to cover it on the back. And of course you don't have to do that, but I thought it would look pretty. Because I think for Christmas time, anything festive is good. It's so pretty. That I'm going to actually decorate the back of this once I sandwich it in between here. Little tiny drop of hot glue. And this is just for time's sake. I'm going to put this here. Of course I could have done that first, but I wanted to show you how you can achieve that nice sturdy paper is just to stack it. So you cut it multiple times. It's a great way to use your leftover papers, of course. And if it bothers you that that has that brownish look on the side, you can definitely take gesso or white paint and just paint that. I'm going to take advantage of this since I have it and just sandwich this together now. Okay, so his little wand is all ready to go. It's going to look like that. And this can go on the back of one of his hands so that it shows that he's holding it. Okay, so once you hold it up or stand him up, this is going to fit just fine. There's also holly and berries. I'm going to add this here. And this is just my little version. I can't wait to see what the design team ladies do. I know it's going to be fantastic. Okay, so this concludes the tutorial for this Nutcracker gift box. Here is the sample that I've also created for the Little Sugar Plum Fairy. I do have a full assembly tutorial for her over on my channel at Paints and Glitter. Don't forget to subscribe here to Tonic Studios YouTube channel and join us over at the official Tonic Studios Facebook page, and go ahead and tag your projects so that you can share them with the entire group. And as I always say, I do hope that you can be inspired and be blessed. And thank you so much for watching.